Level 1, Patrol Officer. You're 22. You're standing in a Walgreens parking lot at 3 a.m., writing a report about a broken window. Your uniform is new. Your boots aren't broken in. Your left heel has been bleeding since hour 3, and you haven't told anyone. The shift started at 10 p.m. It ends at 6 a.m. In those 8 hours, you've responded to 17 calls. 7 were false alarms. 3 were domestic disputes. 1 was an overdose in the stairwell of an apartment building on Clay Street. You got there first. The man was face down, blue lips, 40-something maybe. You rolled him over, started compressions, counted out loud the way they taught you. Ambulance took 4 minutes. They loaded him up and left without saying anything to you. You don't know if he made it. You never find out. Back in the car, your sergeant, Kowalski, broad shoulders, 22 years on the job, hands you a coffee from a gas station and says nothing, just drives. That's the whole debrief. You're making $47,000 a year before taxes. You share an apartment with 2 roommates because that's what the math allows. The city doesn't know your name. You carry the radio everywhere. You learn to sleep light. Level 2, Senior Patrol Officer. You're 25, 3 years in. You've responded to over 2,000 calls. You stop flinching at certain things. That's not toughness, that's just what the volume does to you. You know which blocks go quiet after midnight and which ones never do. You know the regular faces, the woman on 5th who calls every Friday, the kid on Ramos Street who sits on the stoop and watches you like he's memorizing something. You get your first commendation, a piece of paper in a frame. Your captain reads your name into a microphone. You stand there. People clap. It's over in 90 seconds. That same week, you respond to a car accident on the I-7 overpass. A minivan, a family of 4. The father is conscious. The 2 kids in the back are not. You do what you're trained to do. You stay calm. You stay on task. A woman named Delgado from the fire department works beside you for 40 minutes without speaking a single unnecessary word. Both kids survive. Nobody writes that up. No commendation, no microphone. You drive home in silence and sit in your car in the parking garage for 11 minutes before going inside. You've started watching the SWAT callouts, the way they move, the gear, the stack at the door. You don't say anything yet, but you're watching. Level 3, SWAT candidate. You're 26. You apply. You get rejected. The selection process is 3 days. Day 1 is physical. 500-meter swim, obstacle course, timed runs with a 45-pound pack. You finish in the top third. Day 2 is psychological evaluation, stress inoculation, scenario testing. You do fine. Day 3 is a panel interview with 4 senior operators. One of them, Hargrove, no expression, forearms like bridge cable, asks you one question. Tell me about a time you made the wrong call. You answer honestly. You talk about the overpass, about a decision you made in the first 60 seconds that wasn't wrong exactly, but wasn't right either. You explain what you would do differently. Hargrove writes something down. You don't make it. 12 candidates, 6 spots. You're number 7. You go back to patrol. You don't tell anyone you applied. Kowalski knows, he always knows, but he doesn't bring it up. He just adds you to the backup unit on a SWAT call-out 3 weeks later. You stand outside a perimeter for 4 hours in the rain, holding a position nobody breaches. Nothing happens. You reapply 6 months later. This time, you answer Hargrove's question before he asks it. You're in. Level 4. SWAT operator. You're 27. Selection is over. Now the real thing starts. Training is 6 months before you touch a live call-out. Every week. Tactical entry. Close quarters combat. less lethal deployment, breaching, hostage rescue scenarios. You run the same hallway drill 200 times, then 200 more. Your trainer, a guy named Tuck, 11 years in SWAT, quiet in a way that makes you pay attention, watches you on rep 340 and says, "You hesitated at the corner. You didn't think you hesitated. Watch the tape," he says. You watch the tape. He's right. A half second, barely visible. In a real entry, that half second is the difference. You run the drill again and again. You stop hesitating at the corner. Your first live call-out is a barricaded suspect in a residential neighborhood. A man with a rifle who hasn't fired yet but has made statements. You're number 4 in the stack. The door comes down. You move through the house in 11 seconds. The man is in the kitchen. He's on his knees when you reach him. He's crying. Nobody fires a shot. You don't feel relief. You feel your own heartbeat. That's all. The team debrief takes 40 minutes. Tuck points out 3 things that could have gone better. He's right about all 3. You write them down. You're making $61,000 a year. You've stopped telling people what you do at parties. Level 5. SWAT operator. Specialized. You're 29. Before we go any further, drop a comment below. What career do you want to see next? Hit like, subscribe. We upload every single day. You've been on the team 2 years, 31 callouts. You specialize in breaching and less lethal deployment. You can place a flashbang through a 6-inch gap from 15 feet. You've done it under stress, in the dark, with someone screaming in your ear. The team has 8 operators now. You know each of them the way you know a language, not from study, but from repetition. You know that Reyes always checks his left before his right on entry. You know that Chen goes quiet before a hard call. You know that Dominguez makes bad jokes when he's scared, and nobody calls him on it because the jokes are actually good. This year, you have your first real failure. A hostage situation. 3rd floor of a commercial building. A man holding his ex-wife and her sister. You're part of the outer containment team. The negotiator works the phone for 6 hours. Then the situation changes. The man moves positions, away from the window, and the intelligence picture goes dark. The entry team makes the call to go. You're not in the stack. You're at the stairwell. Something goes wrong with the timing. The distraction device is late by 4 seconds. 4 seconds. The entry team gets in. Nobody dies. The hostages are out. But the suspect breaks a window, drops to the fire escape, and there are 2 minutes where he's unaccounted for. He's found 2 blocks away, unarmed, sitting on a bench. In debrief, the team watches the footage. The 4-second gap is visible. The device was your responsibility to hand off. You handed it off, but the handoff sequence had a gap you didn't verify. Your supervisor, Lieutenant Akers, silver hair, speaks slowly on purpose. Says, "This is the one. This is what you carry." He's not angry. That's almost worse. You learn something that week that no training prepares you for. Skill isn't what you do when everything's right. Skill is what you do at second 3 of a 4-second gap when nothing is right and you can't start over. Level 6. Team leader. You're 32. You have 5 people under you now. That changes everything. Not the tactics, the weight. Before, you were responsible for yourself inside the mission. Now, you're responsible for the mission and for the people running it. That's a different math. You feel it before every call-out. Not fear exactly. More like a constant low calculation running in the background. You run training on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You watch your people the way Tuck used to watch you. You catch Reyes hesitating at a corner. Different corner, same half second. And you say the same thing Tuck said to you. Watch the tape. Reyes watches the tape. He stops hesitating. You don't tell him you made the same mistake 5 years ago. It's not relevant. What's relevant is that he fixed it. A call-out in March. Narcotics warrant. 4-story building. 2 suspects known to be armed. The stack goes in clean. Second floor clears. Third floor, a door that wasn't on the blueprint. Your operator Chen calls it out. You make a decision in under 2 seconds. Hold, reassess, don't push through unknown geometry. The decision costs you 45 seconds. Command is in your ear asking for status. You give them status. You hold. The door turns out to be a supply closet. Empty. Afterward, 2 people on your team think you were too cautious. One thinks you were right. Dominguez doesn't say anything, which means he's still working it out. You write your report. You document the decision and why you made it. You send it up to Akers. He sends back 2 words. Good call. You save that email. Not because you need validation, because you need the record to exist. Level 7. Senior Team Leader. You're 35. You've run 140 callouts. You've been shot at twice. You've never fired your weapon at a person. That fact sits in you differently than you expected it to. The team is 12 now. Your second in command is a woman named Vasquez. 10 years in. Faster decision maker than you. Better under audio chaos. You tell her this directly. She nods once and doesn't make a thing of it. This year has the hardest call of your career so far. A barricade. A man who has already shot one person, his neighbor, not fatally, and is now inside his house with what intelligence says is a rifle and possibly a secondary weapon. Negotiation runs for 3 hours and 20 minutes. Then the man says something on the phone that the negotiator flags immediately. He mentions his daughter by name. She's 7. She lives with her mother in another state. The negotiator, Flores, 15 years, voice like he's always slightly bored, signals to you. His read, the man is not going to come out. He's decided. You have a clean shot available. One of your snipers has had the angle for 40 minutes. The man hasn't pointed the weapon at anyone. He's standing in his living room window. You don't take the shot. You wait. 22 minutes later, the man puts the rifle down and walks out the front door with his hands up. He's crying. He says he just wanted someone to come. You process the paperwork. You don't talk about the 22 minutes with anyone except Akers. You tell Akers you're not sure you made the right call, that you got lucky with the outcome, but the decision itself was made on a read that could have been wrong. Akers listens. He says, "That's what the job is. You made the best call with what you had. The outcome doesn't change the call." You hear him. You don't entirely believe him. You carry it anyway. Level 8. SWAT Commander. You're 40. Your team has 24 operators. You don't go through doors anymore. You run the operation from command. That took adjustment, more than you expected. For 13 years, your job was physical. Your body, your position, your movement in a room. Now, your job is information and decision architecture. You sit at a table with a radio and a screen, and you tell other people where to move. The first 6 months, you had to actively stop yourself from suiting up. Your salary is $118,000. You have 2 deputies. You brief the chief of police once a month. You write policy. You sign off on training standards. You review every use of force report your team generates. There are 11 of those reports this year. You read each one 4 times. A call out in October. Active shooter situation at a distribution warehouse. 2 shooters confirmed. 1 down, 1 barricaded with 3 employees in a loading bay. Your team is on site in 8 minutes. You're at command. You have eyes on the building through 2 cameras and audio from a negotiator inside the perimeter. The second shooter is injured. Intelligence is unclear on how badly. Your entry team leader, Vasquez, running her first major command, calls you for a go, no-go. You have incomplete information. You have 3 civilians in a confined space with a man who may or may not be capable of pulling a trigger. Go, you say. The entry takes 19 seconds. The shooter is on the floor when they reach him. Gunshot wound to the leg, already losing consciousness. All three employees walk out. You don't feel relief. You feel the ghost of every scenario where that call goes the other way. At debrief, you tell your team, Vasquez ran this correctly. Every decision she made was correct. The outcome was good because the process was good. You believe that. You need them to believe it too. Level 9. Division Commander. You're 46. You now oversee 3 SWAT teams across the metropolitan area, 72 operators, 3 team commanders who were once operators under you, a budget of $4.2 million annually. You sit in rooms with deputy chiefs, city council liaisons, federal coordinators. You speak carefully. You've learned that the wrong word in the wrong room travels fast. You've been doing this for 24 years. The work at this level is quieter and harder in a different way. You're not running operations. You're shaping the framework that operations run inside. You write doctrine. You fight budget cuts. You argue for training hours that command wants to reduce. You win some of those arguments. You lose some. A shooting review this year. One of your operators, clean, justified shoot, clear threat, clear response, still goes to a city review board. You sit in that room for 3 hours and explain tactics and decision timelines to people who have never been through a door. You answer every question. You stay level. Afterward, in the parking garage, you sit in your car for a long time, not angry, just tired in a specific way that has no good word for it. You think about Hargrove, who interviewed you 20 years ago. You think about what he saw in you that day. You wonder if you're still that person, or if you're someone else now. Someone built from the same materials but assembled differently. You think you're still him. Mostly. You get a call that evening. One of your commanders, Chen, now leading Team 2, has a situation developing. You talk him through it. He handles it. You don't say, good job. You say, document the decision tree, every step. Don't wait. That's the job at this level. Making sure the people who go through doors have the structure to survive what comes after. Level 10, Retired Commander. You're 53. 7 years ago, you turned in your credentials. The ceremony was brief. They gave you a plaque. People shook your hand. Someone took a photo. You drove home alone. It's a Tuesday now. You're sitting in a chair on the back porch of a house in a suburb you chose because it's quiet. The coffee is cold. You let it get cold. You've been sitting here for 40 minutes and you haven't checked your phone once. You spent 31 years in law enforcement, 22 of them in SWAT. You ran 312 call-outs as an operator and team leader. You commanded operations at the division level for 7 years. Under your command, no civilian casualty was ever recorded. 2 of your operators were injured. Reyes, a broken wrist in a vehicle takedown. Dominguez, a concussion from a fall 2019. Both returned to full duty. You don't think about any of that right now. You think about Kowalski, who died of a heart attack in 2018, 6 months after he retired. Who handed you a gas station coffee at 3 a.m. and drove in silence and taught you more by saying nothing than most people teach by talking. You think about Tuck, who called out your hesitation at the corner on Rep 340, who never once said, good job, and somehow made you feel seen every single day you trained under him. You think about the man on Clay Street, the blue lips, the apartment stairwell. You still don't know if he made it. You've made peace with not knowing, or you've made something that functions like peace. You think about Vasquez. She's division commander now. She called you last month, not for advice, just to talk. You talked for an hour about the job, about the weight of the job, about the fact that the weight doesn't go away, it just becomes more familiar, like a scar you stop noticing. You told her, the goal was never to be comfortable. The goal was to keep getting better at carrying it. She laughed, said that sounded like something Akers would say. It did. You pick up the cold coffee, you drink it. The neighborhood is quiet. A dog barks 2 streets over and then stops. The morning is moving without you, and that's exactly right. You spent 31 years making sure mornings could move without incident. Most of them did. Nobody will know your name. That was always the point.